Time to abandon ship.
Oh no!
Here we go. Can I persuade you to join us for a drink? It's a tradition. Here, here.
Jar Jar, homie, my main man, quickly. Before the Separatists attack, get into the escape pod.
Hey! This is escape, then we're the pod.
Welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod and one of the last episodes that we have planned for 2023. What a year it's been. We've broken many of our own personal records, and it's been an incredibly fun year chatting Star Wars with friends, and here we are at the end of it and prepared to go into 2024. So this week we have our very esteemed co-host Blake and Kirk, and we got you as an audience, and we're good to go. So let's dive into the future of Star Wars, what's coming out in 2024, and so much more. Let's get into it.
Another happy landing.
Dangerous times. At least that's what I hear. The Empire? They're everywhere. But the world here belongs to the syndicates. If I want to survive, I have to play their game. Looks like I'm all in.
She's in here somewhere.
On second thought, I'm out.
There she is.
Back my whole life. And now, I just need a chance to finally be free. Wherever that takes me.
I'm here to offer you a way out, okay?
Get off my ship, Jalen.
Give me a chance. You're gonna have to trust me. It'll be dangerous, risky. But if you pull this off, you'll never look over your shoulder again.
The underworld shows no mercy. But it's a big galaxy out there, and I'm gonna risk it all.
Star Wars Outlaws, coming 2024.
All right. Well, that was Star Wars Outlaws, the trailer coming out from Ubisoft. And welcome back. We got Blake on. Hello, sir.
Chut, Josh.
Chut. And joining us from a million miles away is our friend Kirk. Welcome back, sir.
G'day all. How's it going?
Very good, thank you. So Star Wars Outlaws, I mean, this is a game by Ubisoft, very respectable company. I mean, most notable for the Assassin's Creed franchise and a lot of other stuff. Will you guys be playing Outer Rim?
If I'm going to survive as a Star Wars fan, I'm gonna have to play their game.
I must spend the $90.
That was a quote from the trailer, if you didn't notice.
No.
Oh.
I didn't realize that.
So I will buy the
was very-
expansion pack.
Right?
Yeah, I will buy every expansion.
So meta.
This game is set between the events of Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Outlaw scoundrel Kay Vess, portrayed by Humberly Gonzalez, and her companion Nix, portrayed by D. Bradley Baker, attempt one of the biggest heists in the Outer Rim has ever seen, in a journey across several planets, including familiar ones like Tatooine, Kijimi, and Akiva, and never before seen ones as well, like the moon of Tushara, which is inspired by the landscape on the Tanzania savannah. So that was a mouthful.
In other words, not going to be situated on Tatooine.
Yeah, exactly. I hope not. But yeah, I mean, writers for this game, and you know, they've got a good set of writers, good set of directors. They got 2 of each, and this game is supposed to come out in 2024. There's no specific date yet.
What's the deal with it though? Is it an RPG or an adventure game, or what is this?
So it's a single-player, third-person action adventure game set in the Star Wars universe, set in an open world, and the game will feature stealth and open combat, vehicle combat, space combat, and branching dialogue.
Okay.
So branching dialogue, I assume you kind of choose what to say.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Almost like Cyberpunk, I guess.
A little
Maybe
bit.
That's more role playing. I feel.
I was thinking like
Right.
Mass Effect or like KOTOR, Baldur's Gate.
There is kind of a role play-ish aspect to it, though. I think it's kind of not inspired by the Jedi series, because those are done by EA, and you know, good series of games. But you know, this is the first time that we're getting a Star Wars non-EA game, and it's because the exclusivity license to EA expires the end of this year.
Oh, interesting. So they're allowed to start development before the license expires.
I believe so.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, which is interesting. So
Do you think that they'll renew the license with EA after this? I guess they can't, considering this game's coming out.
I think they will. It'll just be a different license. Like, it'll probably just be because like everyone wants a third Jedi Survivor game,
Right.
You know, and or whatever they end up calling it.
The
Jedi.
Star Wars franchise at the last minute.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it Jedi Fate from now on. I feel like that's a good title.
Is it the next one? Or is this what your theory?
No, it's just I'm just throwing it out there. I think they should call it Jedi Fate.
Okay.
Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, Jedi Fate. I feel like it's a good ending game.
Jedi Fallen Survivor.
Jedi Fallen Jedi.
Jedi Survivor
yeah.
the Fallen.
Yeah, I'll be playing this. But this comes out next year, so we got something to look forward to there. Skeleton Crew. What do you think of Skeleton Crew? That one is.
That was Celebration, their stuff, right? They're talking about it.
Yeah, they brought out the cast.
Jude Law.
Thank
right,
you.
yeah.
Yeah. So Sherlock Holmes, the movie, is not the show. Jude Law. So
Plays Watson, if anyone's wondering.
Yeah. If anyone hasn't seen those Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movies, Guy Ritchie films, those ones. Yeah. So Skeleton Crew. What do you think of that?
He was also in Captain Marvel recently, like the first one.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he played Captain Marvel.
Is that actually his character name?
Yeah, it's actually his character name.
Oh, there we go.
I think this show has good potential. Like if they do it, it's kind of similar to maybe Stranger Things and also the new Ghostbusters, like the Afterlife movie that came out a couple of years ago. If it has that kind of feeling, because I think both those shows have a predominantly child cast. I'd have a lack of better description to explain that. So I think if it can go well, but what point in the timeline is Skeleton Crew supposed to be?
If I'm not mistaken, because I believe I've heard this at Celebration when they were talking about it, but I believe it's in among the same time frame of Mandalorian. I don't know.
They do like that timeline right now.
Yeah, I don't know at which point, where, between what seasons or wherever they plan to, pinpoint the story, but I know it's for sure in that era after Return of the Jedi.
It's gonna be like post Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, just wait. I'm gonna be so off or whatever for whatever reason, but yeah.
The Old Republic.
I'm pretty sure it's like the New Republic era. I believe it's been talked about somewhere.
Yeah, 9 years after Return of the Jedi. So apparently, I think you're right.
There you go. So that would mean that it's like Ahsoka time frame, pretty much.
Okay, so I mean, if they're wanting to release stuff somewhat in order, it makes sense.
What if they're all the kids that like they're all Force sensitive, and they're all the kids that like Luke trains, and then Ben Solo kills?
He just finds them all conveniently in one ship.
Well, I mean, like Ben Solo's got to kill them all eventually.
Oh
so
no. That'll be the cliffhanger at the end.
I mean, like, what did people
They all
think?
just
Like,
die.
yeah, they all just die. It's like I don't know. I'd like to go back in time and just kind of talk to somebody who sort of, it's like seen the original trilogy and they saw the Phantom Menace. They saw this young kid. It's like, okay, that's Darth Vader as a kid. That's weird. And them kind of thinking like, wait a minute, this is the kid that kills all those Jedi? Like, you kidding me? And then
an angel?
And then again in episode 2, and he, becomes kind of badass, and then, but it's like kind of the same train of thought, right? It's just like, wait a minute, this is the guy. Like, he's gonna kill everybody here, right? Or he's supposed to. This is what we've been told.
He'll at least betray them all. Yeah.
Yeah, well, like, I think it was Ben Kenobi. He says to Luke, like, Darth Vader, he helped hunt down and destroy the Jedi Order. Like, I think that's like a thing that he says, like, at one point in one of the movies. And then he says he betrayed and murdered your father. So, like, he gives him the idea that it's like, hey, Darth Vader's a bad dude. Like, but I mean, as an audience, like, we know who he is. So it's like, just kind of.
That line Obi-Wan says is no longer a lie, because in the Obi-Wan series, Vader says he refers to himself as killing Anakin.
That's one more reason to like the series, everybody. There's a lot of hate for Obi-Wan Kenobi. And like, I get it, like, I get why people didn't like the show. It's not my top of the list. Absolutely not. And I definitely think it could have been better.
Though. It's like
it's such a high bar.
But it was a very high bar for them to meet it with from a fan perspective.
Yeah, Kirk, what do you think is wrong with Kenobi?
Well, it all started. Okay, I think honestly, from like what I feel is that Kenobi was made during peak COVID, and like that's where the problem, I guess, started. I don't put as much like harsh criticism on the creators and I guess Lucasfilm for that show, because they made the show during such a really tough time. And I think the only thing that doesn't make quite as much sense to me is how limited the budget was reportedly compared to some of the other pieces of content that were out during that time. I feel like it's a little bit overly criticized, and there's a lot of really awesome moments in the show, but I guess it's not 100% exactly what everyone thought it was going to be. But then again, like, I've spoken to people that really, really love it, that are more casual Star Wars fans, and I've spoken to people who really, really don't like it, that are both casual and some more hardcore fans. So yeah, you can't please everybody.
Yeah, you can never please anybody. Yeah, I think this time they didn't please as many as they hoped.
The fan base is grumpy in general, so I think they're
picky.
They're starting on the back foot, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the problem is that when you've got so much content now, it kind of like it's harder and harder to make new content and not keep that element of mystery, which is like what Star Wars is so great for. So I think Liam Neeson's onto something when he keeps talking about how he wishes there wasn't as much new stuff. But then what would there be for us to talk about?
That's right.
Exactly.
Is that a lead in?
Yeah. So real quick, back to Skeleton Crew. This is I'm just looking at the Wikipedia page. It is set after Return of the Jedi. It's created and executively produced by John Watts and Christopher Ford. Now, if anyone doesn't know who John Watts is, I believe he's the guy who did Spider-Man. Is he not?
Oh yeah, he is.
Which one?
The new ones. The
Homecoming.
The
Homecoming.
Yeah,
trilogy.
Homecoming, No Way Home, Far From Home.
Homeward Bound.
Yeah. Homeward Bound. All those homes.
No Way Home.
Never
Does that
going
mean
home.
that we will 100% see Tobey Maguire in this new one?
Sorry, say again. I said Spider-Man Home Alone and I cracked myself up.
A surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. I was mentioning, are we going to see Tobey Maguire in Skeleton Crew then? Considering, no, it's Tom Holland.
Right.
Tom Holland is the new.
Dude, that would be so funny if like just all the spider people are in this show.
Yeah, you never know if he gets to cast it, right?
I feel like I wouldn't mind that at all. I mean, like, two of the three Spider-Men are British. Like they could pass for like Imperials or something.
The worst cameo is by far Lizzo and Jack Black. So worse than that.
Man,
is it even a cameo when they have such prominent characters though? It wasn't even just
but their characters were just so weird, like it wasn't even like necessarily like it was a weird cameo, but it was a weird character on top of a weird cameo,
right?
In a weird story.
They're also eccentric people, aren't they? So maybe they were casted for these weird characters.
Yeah, and in that sense it worked, but like I don't think anyone really like, some people really like it, and then other people people are like, whoa, like that was just, I felt like that was a little too much cameo,
too like meta real world.
Yeah, too much.
So
like
one of my
mainstream.
friends was walking past when I was watching this episode, and he's a Star Wars fan, and he's not kept up with the Mando season 3, and he said to me, he's like, oh, which SNL skit is this? I'm like, no, this is actually like real. This is Jack Black, and I don't even, what are their characters called? I don't know.
Man,
if we got the 3 Spider-Men, it can't be as bad as that.
Yeah,
I didn't think about the fact that it definitely could have been an SNL skit. The one guest and then the music artist of the night. It could,
yeah.
I mean, it makes sense,
maybe
casting wise.
So something about this show, Skeleton Crew. The first footage was revealed at Celebration Europe and in April 2023. That's pretty much it. There's no official Disney Plus release date, but it is highly speculated that it will come out next year. So but let's fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for sure. But I'm looking forward to it. But it's a coming of age story, and maybe slightly for younger viewers. Maybe it won't be as violent. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe people think it's boring. I don't know. Jude Law, you saved Dumbledore. Let's bring it on. Like,
yeah, I mean, I like him as an actor, so
yeah,
I'd watch it just for him alone. Honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
Home Alone, watch it alone.
Spider-Man, Home Alone. All right, Bad Batch season 3. Kirk, your favorite show?
I could not care about this season.
This will be the final season for the Bad Batch, and I'm really hoping that they make use of their time with however many episodes they decide to throw into the last season.
Because if I recall correctly, last season felt like a lot of filler.
Yeah, it was like my first 3 Pablo Pudus. Yeah. Kirk's like he just taught. Yeah, so he's talking about the one with all the water, the island.
Yeah,
Pabu.
Yeah, so one I remember is
that was the one where we gave it like 3 Pablo Pudus. It was so bad, man. It was like
slow.
It was friggin' terrible.
With the tsunami or whatever, right?
Yeah. It was the worst episode, I think, in every.
The only one I remember.
Dude, there was like Star Wars Resistance episodes that are better than that. And I did not like that show at all.
Did you finish it?
Resistance?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, I didn't know you finished it.
Yeah. I finished it.
That was like
reluctantly.
my badge of honor.
No. I finished it. Yeah,
you finished what I haven't started.
It's because you're too busy watching Jedi Younglings, Kirk.
Young Jedi Adventures.
That's the one.
Clearly, you haven't watched it.
No, I'm quite far behind.
How do you not know the right title, man? Come on, it's my favorite show.
Yeah,
I know.
It's what all the kids at our preschool's talking about.
I'm not gonna say don't hang around a lot of preschools.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, so Bad Batch season 3, it's going to be the last season ever. If there's anything that I'm hoping for out of this, and this is speculated to come out next year, but most likely will. I'm really hoping that they just tie up any loose ends that they may have dug themselves a hole with Star Wars Rebels. And we know that Gregor and Wolf survived the Order 66. I'm hoping that they bring them together with Captain Rex in that season, make sense of the whole scenario as to why Wolf doesn't have the chip in his head anymore, stuff like that. So as long as they patch up the loose ends with Rebels, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with this being the last season. I'm curious to know what their plans are after with Star Wars animation.
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like one thing I've really struggled with the show, though, is I just rather have the final season of Clone Wars.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've always thought, like
the gap, I guess, between where we left off at the, quote, final
season. See, like, a venue like Tales of the Jedi, which, moving on to that one, season 2, also speculated to come out next year, is such a great kind of vessel for being able to tell these stories that they never got to finish with Clone Wars. And, I feel like this is Dave's kind of opportunity. It's like, hey, let's kind of slyly finish Clone Wars, like, for real. Like, do all those episodes that we never got a chance to do.
And just to make myself feel bad, let's quickly look up what year Clone Wars was canceled.
I remember it well. It was
2014.
Yeah, 2014. Yeah, it was like either
10 years ago this year.
Late 2013 or 2014. Yeah, it was basically 10 years ago this year.
Because on our show notes, it says Rebels 10-year anniversaries this year.
It does. So that's for next year. You're skipping ahead a little bit. So for 2024, next year we celebrate the 10th anniversary of Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah, so that I would think then that Clone Wars was canceled. I would say 11, but 10 minimum.
Yeah, exactly. Sweet.
I think I do do give the show a bit too much crap, though. I think it looks great, but it's also proof that just because something looks great doesn't mean that the story's going to be great.
Oh, Bad Batch.
And yeah, Bad Batch. I think there's a couple good episodes in there. I remember one.
There's a good batch.
Hair, like, there's one good batch inside the batch of Bad Batch. But actually, now come to think of it, the Bad Batch is like the perfect like metaphor, I guess, analogy of like based off a Star Wars show, off a couple characters inside the Star Wars show, based off those characters inside another Star Wars show.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, imagine trying to describe the Bad Batch to somebody that doesn't know much about Star Wars, what the characters are.
That's a good point.
It's like,
I'm worried now we're gonna get another spin-off of this show. It's gonna be about Omega or something. So it's gonna be a spin-off of a spin-off.
The Omega Batch.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no. Omega Squad.
Oh no. Okay, yeah. So
what are you doing?
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude, Kirk can do the accent. Tales of the Jedi season.
That's it for today.
Yeah. There's the performance. Tales of the Jedi Season 2. What are we hoping out of this season? Because, I mean, you know, for Season 1, we had Dooku's origins pretty much turning into a Sith Lord. We also had sort of a anthology story of Ahsoka through multiple different chapters of her life. What would you guys like to see with Season 2?
Sorry, which show?
Tales of the Jedi.
Tales of the Jedi. Oh, because those are just like random story arcs.
Yeah. Like, what are you hoping for out of this
we
one?
We talked about this, and there's something really... We talked about Plagueis, because
Yeah.
I know...
That one's not going to happen.
Yeah, everyone on this podcast is very gung-ho about Plagueis. One back in there. Mara Jade. The other one we're never going to
That's not going to happen. I'm just shooting all these down. What do you want? No, it's not going to happen.
Dreams,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'm just popping all those bubbles, Kirk.
All right.
Kirk, how many bubbles can I pop?
Do you want Star Wars? Do you want Star Wars and Tales of the Jedi? No, not happening.
Kirk, how many bubbles can I pop that you know, like, let's hear your suggestions. How many can I just shoot down?
Let me destroy your dreams.
All right, let me think. I want to see something new, and that is I want to see Ahsoka blending into a village and then revealing her powers at the end of the episode.
There was a book about that.
wait, isn't that we already saw that, didn't we?
That's like the sister arc in all the last season of the Clone Wars, and it's also a whole episode at the end of Tales of the Jedi.
Oh jeez, yeah. I've seen it so many times.
The Tales of the Jedi is from the book. That's right.
Yeah. Okay, I would like to see. Okay, realistically, like if I'm trying to think, you know, like if they can do something like the Dooku thing that we saw, which was friggin' awesome, you know, my hopes are high. So I'm gonna say maybe like a Darth Maul sort of tutelage sort of series, you know, like 3 episodes of Darth Maul training under Palpatine. That would be sick.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw one out of left field
man,
here.
Josh wants to see Darth Maul.
Omega, is that you?
Chopping up people, get all the lightsabers everywhere. It'd be really good.
Omega, get back in the ship.
Omega. Okay, let me see if you're expecting this. I want to see Shmi get sold from Watto, and then I want to see her get taken by the Tuskens, and her Anakin's stepfather losing his legs.
Dang, that's dark stuff. Like,
Have you ever seen it?
You want to see a whole story just about Shmi as a slave?
Well, it's her being like freed, essentially, right? Because he weds her.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Like things are finally looking up Shmi, and then she gets taken by Tusken Raiders.
I don't know. Look at yeah.
Shmi, a Star Wars story.
Shmi, a Star Wars story. Like the whole episode is just like a business transaction.
Shmi, myself, and I.
You know what? It's like they do like a show like Suits, and it's just like business cases after business cases like in Star Wars.
Yeah, like Coruscant.
You want to make a deal?
Oh no!
I'll trade you 10 death sticks for that slave.
The name's Shmi.
Skywalker Shmi.
You know what, Gardula? You've got a deal.
Gardula the Hutt?
Gardula the Hutt. Yeah. My mother and I were sold by Gardula the Hutt.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Come on, man.
I repressed that.
That trivia. Got to get that trivia in.
I'll know it for next time now.
Yeah. Okay, moving on here. We got the Acolyte, which is also supposed to come out next year. And this is the show that I mistakenly talked about a little bit earlier. So this is a show that is taking place at the very tail end of the High Republic, about 50 to 100 years before the Phantom Menace. And this is probably one of the most interesting sort of shows that I think they could possibly do, because unless they completely botch it, like this has a lot of potential, you know?
I'm very scared for this show now, I have to admit.
Yeah.
I am excited, and yeah, it's gonna set a precedent for this whole era, because I feel like the novels, there's a lot of wiggle room. Like not a lot of people read the books. If they uncanonize, like, can I Dave Filoni some stuff?
Yeah.
Am I coining that term?
Dave Filoni.
Just like write over the books differently, like close enough.
They belognet it.
No one's gonna get that.
No.
But once the show is done, I feel like that's going to solidify this era a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I'd still prefer KOTOR era, I think, but we'll see what they're going to do.
Yeah, because we'll find out. Yeah, Kirk, what are you excited for about the Acolyte? What are you nervous about?
I'm excited for the fact, well, I guess both the same. I'm excited that we're finally going to see some stuff before the prequels, which I believe that's where it's set. I think Star Wars moving forward should just focus on more of that. I'm not really as keen seeing stuff after episode 6 and everything. But I am worried
9?
because I remember, say it again.
But after episode 9, do we want to know what's going to happen after that? There's another era.
Yeah, not really.
George Lucas's
not really.
10, 11, 12.
No, man, I'm okay. Episode 9 can be all set and done. I'm just gonna look at before the prequels.
I just want, yeah, that's all I want to see. I just want to see stuff before the prequels. But to be honest, that the producer, I think, for this show, like, went on like a bit of a rage fest about how, like, George Lucas doesn't know much about Star Wars, or his stuff is like not the only source material you should base things off. I'm taking that a bit out of context, I guess, but I think I'm just a little bit worried about how the show's come to be and everything. But
yeah.
I'm excited for where it's set, I guess. Yeah.
Shoot. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see how it turns out. But yeah, lots at stake. I mean, you know, this is going to really set a bit of a example, you know, with the fans as to, you know, how we respond to sort of any stories told prior to the Phantom Menace on screen, because this is, other than Tales of the Jedi, going to be the first, you know, like on-screen depiction of anything prior to Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, you know, getting aboard the Trade Federation ship and kicking some metal butt. You know, slicing doors and stuff.
And we're getting closer to the era with like lots of Sith and lots of Jedi, right? Yeah. I feel like it's a step towards KOTOR, which people have wanted forever.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see a show come together where the Sith aren't the bad guy, and we don't know who will be, because I don't know if the Nihil are still around at this point or what. I will have to wait and see. You know, the phase 3 of the High Republic era isn't supposed to completely wrap up until 2025 in spring. So, you know, it'll be interesting to kind of see how they work around that, if this show is supposed to take place after all that story material. So yeah, but lots at stake for that. Andor season 2 was probably going to come out next year. Recently a report came out saying it was delayed until 2025. Now I believe this is confirmed information, seeing as the writer strike sort of delayed everything by 6 months, which is too bad. So yeah, sorry, Kirk.
This is new information to me. Yeah, I'm upset. I'm a bit sad.
No, yeah. Let's hear it from Omega.
You know what?
Omega, what'd you think?
Hey man, this news makes me very unhappy. I'm just gonna have to grab my hammer and go smash some eggs.
I just want to do it. Korg impression. What does Korg say in Thor Ragnarok?
I forget now, but yeah. Taika Waititi.
It's like, hey man, I want to start a revolution. Want to come?
Man.
You want to come?
The hammer pulled you off.
Come on, we're gonna have a revolution. You should come.
I pulled you up. I started a revolution, but I didn't print enough pamphlets. So only my boyfriend's mum and her should come.
Some good lines.
So good. Next year, we celebrate the 10th anniversary for Star Wars Rebels and the 40th anniversary for Caravan of Courage, the first Ewok Adventures movie.
I don't know about you, but I'm most excited for this.
I really want to talk to the actor who plays Mace from Caravan of Courage. And I'm going to be honest, you know, shout out to you, sir, who I did.
Do you know his name, Josh?
You know what? I do. It's Eric. It's Eric. Okay. I forget his last name though. I shot him an email. Eric Walker. Thank you. Thanks, and I shot him an email earlier today. And I said, hey, you know, if you want to come and chat Caravan of Courage and, you know, talk about Ewok Adventures.
Because I believe
I am down.
Has a Kickstarter right now about writing a book.
That was a decade ago.
Oh.
Yeah, you didn't look at the date?
Nope.
It was like 2011.
Oh, dang. Did the book come out? He
made
his goal.
I don't know.
He just got the email.
He just got all the funding. 10 years. Actually, way more than 10 years. So yeah, celebrating for 10th on Rebels, 40th for Caravan of Courage. And speaking of Star Wars Rebels, For those of you who have not seen Star Wars Rebels and might want to go through it after seeing Ahsoka and other surrounding shows, Blake and I did do a rewatch podcast where we went through Star Wars Rebels in 20 podcast episodes, the entire series. You go through it with us, read the descriptions in the podcast episodes, and they're all numbered 1 through 20. And it was a really great way for anyone listening to, check out Star Wars Rebels for the first time, and you got an after show to watch for that. So you can find the playlist on YouTube and Spotify, and if you have any questions, just shoot us an email. But it was fun. We had a good time with that.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Do it again.
So I did mention this already. High Republic Phase 3 wraps up next year with final elements coming out in 2025 spring. That'll send off the entire project.
That's crazy to me. This is getting wrapped. I feel like it just started.
It feels like it wasn't that long ago, but
when did it start? The last few years have gone by so fast.
Beginning of COVID.
Okay, so it's like 4 years ago now?
Three maybe. That's been a while.
That's pretty quick though for a whole era.
Feels like it. Let's
say like the prequel books, those came out for like a decade.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was like the movies were kind of paced, a couple of years apart.
Right. But now we're getting a show in that era and they're going to stop making books.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why the Acolyte has so much on its shoulders, because if it does well, they'll do more shows in that time period. If it tanks and it does badly, maybe they won't go back there. So that's why I'm kind of worried for it, because it's going to
set a lot of weight.
It's going to set the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the only reason why so many shows are coming out in the New Republic era is because The Mandalorian just did so well. That's the only reason, right? And it's only because season 1 did so well that season 2 came out, and then they brought in Ahsoka for that, and people loved the live action Ahsoka, so then she got her own show, and then they just gave Boba Fett his own show.
Well, it makes sense. You follow success.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So if Acolyte does well, we can expect more shows in this time period. If it tanks, forget it.
I just want Solo episode 2.
Solo 2. Kirk, you want Solo 2?
I want Solo 3. Duo after that.
Skip 2.
No, honestly, I think Alden Ehrenreich, is that his name? That played Han Solo. Yeah. I think he did it. Yeah, I think he did a fantastic job. I'd love to see him more as Han Solo.
Yep.
Although, I thought it was actually a really good adventure movie. It kind of reminded me of Indiana Jones, I guess, as well. The Solo movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I'm sure they took inspiration from that.
Yeah.
In fact, I mean, bit of a sad story, but when I did go watch Solo, that was the only Star Wars launch, what do you call it, like midnight screen that I went to?
Premiere.
And there was like 5 people in the theater. Yeah, premiere. And there was like 5 people in the theater. And the other ones I went to, it was like packed back in like March 2018. I remember that. It was like 3 months after The Last Jedi. I was just like, have I come to like the wrong session or something?
That's so strange.
It was empty. I think people just had a bit of Star Wars fatigue.
Star Wars doubt.
Right.
Star Wars fans are not Marvel fans.
With The Last Jedi.
Yeah, that's what I find. It's like Star Wars fans are not comic book.
Like they go to everything?
Yeah. Well, yeah, right. Like at least it seems that way to me.
Well, I think I feel like there's probably a divide in the overall fan base where there's like the casual, which is probably 90%. Mm-hmm. Then there's a 10% that were like reading the books through the 90s, and they'll go to everything.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of people that.
But the problem is though, it's like no matter.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the problem is though is that any Star Wars fan over the years for like feature films, they'd wait 3 years minimum for a new movie to come out, and this was like 3 months.
Yeah.
So obviously the people that watched the original trilogy waited 16 years, and then 3 years for each of the prequels to come out, and then obviously there was a lot of backlash from The Last Jedi, and this movie came out 3 months afterwards. So I just think that kind of tested how Star Wars fans view the franchise, I guess, at the time.
Yeah.
I don't understand, why didn't they just release it a year afterwards? Like, why do they have to do March? It's such an odd time to release a movie. And they even had to rush the last script, and
was it March or May?
And Ron Howard had to take over, and I think it was March. Maybe it was May.
Because I do recall at one point, because the Star Wars movies traditionally always came out in May, right before the summer.
Solo, A Star Wars Story.
You're right, May 25th.
Yeah,
May 25th.
So if I'm not mistaken, I think what was trying to be done, because when Force Awakens came out, they had to push it from May to December. And then The Last Jedi came out in December as well. It's a Christmas movie. And then I think they were trying to move it back to May, and that's how we ended up with this. Yeah. And then after,
actually,
they moved it back December after that.
Sorry, go on.
No, that's it.
No, my audio is like delayed by 3 seconds, so I hear you stop talking and it's like silence for 3 seconds.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're trying to have a conversation from two different points of the planet.
Yeah, and like everyone here is like hanging upside down, so like it's really hard just to like get blood rush into my head.
You gotta strap everything down. Your laptop will float away.
Exactly. I've got super glue everywhere. Sorry, I cut you off there to go on. Just say what you're saying.
And they cut me off on my end.
Oh yeah, I think we're all caught up. I think we're all on the same page here. But yeah.
Okay. Well, what I was saying was, the worst thing that came from this movie was recently when I can't remember who said it, but they said that Solo was really bad and didn't work purely because they didn't use AI or facial replacement on Han Solo. And like I was like, that is not the reason. Like Alden did a really good performance.
Yeah, he did a great job.
He did a good job.
I don't know.
And I was very skeptical.
Who said that?
That was my most skeptical thing going in, and I thought he did a great job. We talked about this last podcast, I think, as well.
We did. He sold me after like 2 minutes. So
it took no time at all. Like immediately believed it as a character.
Yeah.
As like a young Han Solo who hasn't come into the Harrison Ford character yet.
Right. This is our capstone for the evening. The future of Star Wars. You know, we had a fun laugh about this before recording, but people are making videos about how Star Wars is over, how much Star Wars do we need? You know, like Kirk, maybe you can kick us off. Like, what are your opinions on this? You know, some high profile YouTubers who have been making videos like this.
You know, I guess my opinion is that the same people that are complaining that Star Wars is dead because there is no new Star Wars content coming out right now, thus there's no content for people to make, are also complaining that we're getting too much Star Wars and we're rushing the content. So what do you want? I think that I think like you gotta have a bit of both. I think that it's good that we have like Ahsoka wrapped up, and it was good in a lot of ways. It was not the best in a lot of ways too. We've got a good break until Outlaws comes out, which I think is the next big piece, and Skeleton Crew. I think the future of Star Wars now, there's going to be more stuff coming out, that's for sure, versus back in 1977 where we got like in between that and when Empire Strikes Back came out, we got a Christmas special, obviously. We got a few like
the
Pepsi
greatest
cups.
thing
like,
for Star Wars fans to ever be blessed with, I might add.
So it's an interesting topic, and I'm gonna just read a small paragraph of an article that our friend Dan sent me on Discord here. It's called "Against the Sith," and this article was published January 3rd, 1981. Okay. So it says, "Dear readers, it has been decided by the editors to cease publication of Against the Sith and the other fan publications. ATS number 10, Star Wars Journeys 11, A Ray of Hope, and Crude Matter will not be published. Enclosed with this announcement are all refunds. See below. Over the past months, it has become increasingly clear to us that we cannot continue publishing a fanzine for a movie in which we find so little to recommend. We still stand by everything we felt in our first letter to fandom in May, but would word it differently now. Since then, we thought we could fool ourselves, try hard to accept the film, and put out 2 more issues, 8 and 9, but we realized we weren't having much fun. Not only has this film fractured individual fans' emotions, fandom is fractured." And it continues on from
there. This is from Empire Strikes Back?
Yeah.
Before Jedi?
So they do talk about that. They say, "We know a lot of fans have accepted The Empire Strikes Back, but we wonder how much they really love it as they loved Star Wars. For us, The Empire Strikes Back left out the most important ingredient, love, from which flowed an innocent sense of fun. Without this, the film is appealed zero." So there's more to it.
Nothing has changed.
That's exactly it.
There's more to it, but talking about all of these opinions, you know, that people have on like, oh, Star Wars is dead now, you know, like what's there to talk about, or other people on the other side of the spectrum going like, there's too much Star Wars, like going into 2023, going into 2024,
almost 3. It's too much.
Yeah, going into 2024. I mean, like we're looking at every month there is numerous comic books, numerous republishing of old books, new books being published once at least every 2 or 3 months. You know, we got the whole High Republic initiative going on, which provides a lot of content through that avenue. You know, we've got the Disney Plus shows coming out, a number of them listed next year, as well as a video game called Star Wars Outlaws. I mean, there's a lot to look forward to, but some people are overwhelmed, whereas other people are like, oh, Star Wars is dead. And, you know, they have their own reasons as to why, but this article just kind of, you know, it's like, it's funny that there's always always people who will have these opinions, right? There's always people that are going to be out there saying, oh, this is no longer interesting. This sucked. This is boring. I don't care about it anymore.
Ruin the franchise.
Yeah, exactly. A point being, it's like, hey, if you love Star Wars and you're excited about next year, I'm with you on that. Like, I'm with you. I'm like, we are living in the most exciting time, I think, of the Disney era of Star Wars. And I'll give you my reasons why.
I will say the hype before 7 was pretty huge.
It was, but that was sort of before Disney bought Star Wars.
No, it was after Disney bought it, but before they released anything.
Yeah, but that was also before. That was also when George was semi-involved still.
I would say the hype was pretty big between 7 and 8 as well.
Yeah, it was. I guess. Yeah, it was. It was pretty big. But here's my reasons as to why. Okay, for many years, a lot of us fans have been petitioning and sort of throwing it out there online. We want Dave Filoni's stories. We want Dave Filoni in charge. We want this. We want that. Dave Filoni should run Lucasfilm, etc., etc. Well, now he's the chief creative officer. And now people are complaining. Give me a break. I don't get it. I don't get it.
It's so frustrating because some of these people are like, when something good happens on the screen for Star Wars, they're like, let Dave cook, give him the utensils, let him put him in the kitchen, let him cook. And then like when something bad happens, like for example, when like Kenobi like lifts his eyebrow like the wrong way, everyone's like, Disney, no, what's Disney doing?
Cast him into the fire.
Disney's destroyed.
So ridiculous, man.
It's just so frustrating. So I like that Filoni is now whatever this role is. I mean, he's not the president. I personally think that he should oversee the story. I'm going to take the unpopular opinion and say that I don't think he should be writing every piece of content in the future. Just because I find that, like, I think there are some more talented screenplay writers and things out there that can work with him and work with the Lucasfilm story group with him at the head and develop some really great scripts, i.e.
I fully agree.
I think Andor is a great example of that.
It also sounds like you're describing
Dave Filoni because
George Lucas and his position for episodes 5 and 6.
Exactly. He didn't write 5 and 6. I mean, Lawrence Kasdan, I believe, wrote 5 off memory. I can't maybe. He obviously would have had a lot of influence for it, but those are arguably some of the best Star Wars pieces. And I think
not according to this article,
the ideas. No, that one's just awful. Episode 5 is terrible.
Ruin the franchise.
So I think
that's
what it should go in the future.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think as much as people jump on the Kathleen Kennedy screwed up Star Wars train, like whatever, like you can agree with that, and I can see that in a lot of ways. But also like she's also done a lot of great producing, excluding Star Wars, like well before like the 2000s and stuff like that. So she's not like obviously bad at what she does. So I'm glad that hopefully she'll at least step aside from making the creative decisions, and hopefully it's a lot of Dave Filoni. But I also hope that Dave Filoni isn't necessarily putting pen to paper with scripts in the future.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think Andor, like you say, has been evidence that this system can work with other storytellers in the Star Wars universe and succeed kind of beyond any expected measure. And even though that we really love Dave Filoni's stories and stuff, I mean, like he definitely has a certain tone and stuff that resonates with a certain genre within Star Wars, right? But then there's people like Tony Gilroy telling stories like Andor, which kick butt, and getting people into Star Wars that might not normally be into Star Wars, and they still feel like authentic Star Wars stories, right? And maybe someone like Star Wars Theory would disagree with that, but it's like, okay, well, clearly, that's a minority opinion there, thinking that Andor is a bad story because
I was surprised by that.
It was amazing.
Yeah, I think similar to this article that we just read an excerpt from, like different people are interested in different things and they love Star Wars for different reasons.
Yeah, and that's the benefit of having all these different storytellers. Because if you hated Andor, it's like, okay, well, fine. But, then you must have probably liked Mando or Ahsoka or one of the more fantasy-inspired genre shows, right? Yeah. So
I agree. And I think also, I also think now like two things. Number one, like not every show needs to be written and shown like Andor. Like I would be pretty, I guess you could use the word that I don't like to use to describe Andor, but you could get bored that way. I think we need our stuff that is more similar to the more action-packed and less politically driven shows. So that's number one. Like not just stuff about Andor. Number two, like Dave Filoni has been doing majority of his career writing narratives and stories for kids and for people of the younger audience. So, and he's amazing at that. I think he's really good at that. So I think that's why, I guess, part of my reasoning why I don't think he should always be the one writing some of the more other pieces that aren't directed towards the younger audience.
Yeah, that makes sense. I also think it's great that he's in the position he is, because he did learn at the foot of the master, working with George Lucas directly for so many years. And I would go as far as saying I don't think there's anyone else that understands Star Wars as well as George Lucas other than him, from like a fundamental perspective.
He sold it.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's why it's good that he's there. And then he can advise with stories, say yes and no, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Master and apprentice.
Yeah. We have
the master got a big paycheck.
Here, I got something from YouTube in light of Christmas coming around the corner. We're gonna start to wrap things up here, but I got one thing to play. So we'll just take a quick listen here.
You better watch out. You better not cry.
You better not call on Yoda's Jedi.
The Empire is coming to town. We have a Death Star.
We tested it twice.
Tracking down rebels and ending their lives. The Empire is coming to town.
I have a very bad feeling about this.
We see you when you're training. We know you use the Force. We know about your sister now. It's kind of gross.
You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not call on your Jedi.
The Empire is coming to town.
All right, there we go. So that was a Spike TV Star Wars holiday commercial that came out about 10 years ago or so now. So I thought that was kind of funny and worth playing. We're wrapping it up for the year, and we got one more episode I think we plan to record before the end of the year, and I don't know when this one's going to drop. I don't know when that one's going to drop. I do know that we have, at least from today, we've already announced that we had Kyle and Alex from ALKY Solutions back on, so that episode's coming out on December 11th, and we're taking a bit of a break, I think, towards the end of December for Christmas and New Year's and stuff. So we do plan to release this episode we're recording right now, as well as another commentary that we've worked, because we've already done one of these, but we were doing it again with a whole new group of people. It's the Star Wars Holiday Special.
That's right. We're gonna make it an annual thing and subject new people to this torture every year.
Yeah, Kirk, you in?
Torture? What are you talking about?
He's like, that's my favorite Star Wars movie.
Right?
Dude, that ranks number one.
Chewie's got to get home in time for Life Day. I got to know what's going to happen.
People think that Luke looked bad at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian. I think he looked incredible in this movie.
He looks so fit and young.
That's right.
Oh, man. Yeah. So we're going to be having some fun with that, having some laughs, drinking some eggnog. We're going to set up all our gear in front of the screen. Kirk, if you're up for it, you can watch from your end all the way on the other side of the planet there and sync up. We'll play at the same time. And,
you can have your commentary 30 seconds late.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'll just have to flip the screen 180 degrees.
Well, I'll tell you, what we'll do is we'll have you start it 30 seconds early. So it'll hopefully line up.
Or you can watch through our webcam so the video feeds even more delayed.
A minute late.
Yeah, like a minute late. Like,
you know what? All the pixelation might actually help the movie.
Wow, this looks so good. What is this, 240p?
So good. So we're going to be having some fun with that. But yeah. So I guess we'll see you both in the next one, hopefully. And yeah, that's it.
We'll catch you later, Kirk.
See ya.
See you, buddy.
We'll see you out there. Keep flying.
All right, and thank you so much to our audience for tuning in. Don't forget to check out all those links in the description below for ORBITKEY, for ALKY Solutions, for our own contact information, for all that stuff. Send us an email as to what you're looking forward to most in 2024. May the Force be with you guys. Merry Christmas, and we will see you in the next episode of Star Wars Escape Pod.